Hey, what's going on? Keith here from Sports Vibes TV, coming at you with another live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about the Knicks, a lot of the things that's been going on over the last few weeks, the way the team has been playing, which I've definitely been enjoying. And also, we'll discuss the upcoming matchup and things like that. Right now, I'm coming at you live from Cancun, celebrating my mother's 65th birthday. So that's why we weren't able to do a stream yesterday with Foxy. Fortunately, the Wi-Fi was acting up, but they got it back up and running today. So today we've going to get into a few tweets that I saw online and a few other things and topics circulating around or pertaining to the New York Knicks. Let's see who we got in chat. Let's see. We're currently Bricks Nation. Salute. Thank you for tuning in. This is going to be a solo stream. One of my first solo streams in like about 2 or 3 years. So bear with me. Gonna try to get through it in one piece. Once again, if there's any issues with the audio or with the connectivity, just let me know. Once again, I'm abroad right now, so there's only so much I can do, but I can try to do whatever I can to help make sure that this goes smoothly. So I see Bricks Nation in chat. I see Lex the Destroyer. Thank you all for tuning in for this impromptu pregame. Haven't really been able to do too many pre-games because I got a new promotion that's kind of been taking me away from the channel. But thank you guys for tuning in. We really do appreciate it here on Sports Vibes TV. So now today, the first topic that we're going to be getting into is what John Morant just said recently about Jericho Sims. So I have the tweet up on screen. You see John Morant sent out, can we get Jericho Sims in there with him and Shaden Sharp? And I think that would be definitely dope for the Knicks to see Jericho Sims be given an opportunity to perform in the dunk contest. We all know his hops are ridiculous. I was able to see what he can do out there in terms of his jumping ability when I was out in Vegas for Summer League. And he's definitely impressive when it comes to his ability to get off the floor and to finish. Now, I'm still a little bit skeptical as to how he'll be as a dunk contest participant. I know he's definitely a great in-game dunker. We see him get, multiple alley-oops. I won't say a game, but throughout the week, you do see him get multiple alley-oop attempts. And he's able to go up there and do some pretty amazing things. Now, will he have the creativity, the improvisation when it comes to participating in the dunk contest? We shall see. But we've seen other New York participants be able to win that trophy. So hopefully Jericho Sims could be another one to add to the list. Now, what I thought was pretty interesting is, I don't have the tweet on hand, but Obi Toppin, he actually responded to John Morant's tweet. And he said, if Jericho Sims, if our young bull is able to enter the dunk contest, then how about we see you in the dunk contest as well? And I like that challenge. Let's see John Morant enter the dunk contest. If he wants to suggest people, then he should be open to being suggested as well. And I think John Morant is definitely an electric dunker and definitely one of the most athletic point guards we have in the league. I think he would definitely be a great talent to have in the dunk contest alongside a guy like Jericho Sims. So hopefully the NBA can do what they have to do to get him into the game. You don't necessarily see high-profile players in the dunk contest like we saw back in the day. My favorite player, Kobe, he was able to come away with a dunk title. You also saw players like Vince Carter participate in things like that. So I'm not sure if we'll see John Morant, but if you're going to put your hat in the ring and suggest somebody, you have to be open to someone else recommending you as well. So we'll see what John Morant says. Even if John Morant doesn't, end up going I'll definitely be interested in seeing what Jericho Sims can do out there. It's definitely help put him on the map and things like that. Let's see if I have anything else going on in chat right now. Salute. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate the support. All right, let's jump right into the next tweet that I wanted to get into. So here, just some updates about some of the players and their health heading into this game. You can see from Fred Katz, this was sent out yesterday. It says RJ Barrett did most of practice today. Tom Thibodeau said uncertain about his status for tomorrow. Also says Barrett still hasn't gotten stitches removed, I'm told, but positive progression with him doing most of practice today. So after this tweet, they ended up confirming that RJ Barrett will be out for tonight's game. And when they got into the injury itself, it was pretty gruesome. So it looks like RJ Barrett, when he went to go grasp the ball, he hit his other hand with so much force that the bone kind of broke through and is what caused the laceration. Now, to me, that's kind of crazy. And also, as an X-ray tech and as somebody in the medical field, just picturing that was pretty gruesome because it takes a ton of force for a bone to burst through and pierce the skin. Your skin is the largest organ in your body, and it's pretty strong, and it's there to be the first line of protection. So for him to be able to burst through, that was kind of crazy. But I'm glad that doesn't seem like it's going to hold him out for too long. And it was kind of upsetting when it happened. RJ Barrett seemed like he was finally starting to figure things out and you know start to shrug off some of the poor performances from earlier on in the season. And to see him get injured at that point, I think it was definitely unfortunate. But hopefully he'll be able to come back and pick up right where he left off. So fingers crossed in those regards. But like I said, RJ Barrett, he'll be unavailable today. They did rule him out. Fred Katz had ended up tweeting it, but just wanted to give you an update as to what's going on with RJ Barrett and his health. Also, some other ancillary news you can see. This is coming from Ian Bagley, our guy. He's saying that Ryan A and V will remain with the New York Knicks roster beyond the 5 p.m. deadline, guaranteeing their contracts for the season, sources confirm. Now, the Knicks could have waived them prior to the 5 p.m. deadline without financial impact. Tom Thibodeau praised both players for their impact on the group. And Ian Bagley, being, the professional that he is, gave a shout out to Newsday for being the first one with the scoop. Now, Ryan A and his V, they don't really get too many minutes, but it seems like they do a pretty good job bonding with the team and helping to build that chemistry. Ryan A and Jalen Brunson go back to their collegiate days. And if you listen to what Scotty Barnes said about V, it sounds like V is one of the guys. So with him being able to fit in, it seems, and also the ability to be a shooter off the bench if we ever need to turn to him, I think that's definitely solid for this team. Now, once again, these guys don't really get too many minutes, if any, for the Knicks, but you still need to fill out the end of your bench, and you need high quality guys like this that can get along, help, cheer on their teammates from the bench and things like that, and also push the players in practice as well. So Ryan A is going to play some defense, and V is going to help them, emulate some of the better shooters in the league and having to practice closeouts and things like that. So definitely happy that those two guys are being retained and they're not going to move on from them. Because honestly, I don't think there's any other free agents right now that are available that would, one, crack into Tibbs, 9-man rotation, or two, be better for this team in terms of building chemistry and bringing and building the bond between teammates. So once again, okay with them keeping Ryan A and V, because at the end of the day, I don't really think there's too many people that are available that could be major upgrades. Going on, Angel Torres, salute. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the support. We've got 19 in chat, only 6 likes. Can y'all do me a solid? Smash that like button. We greatly appreciate it. And see what we got going on with this next tweet. All right, this one is coming from Tommy Bear. He's saying the Knicks are listing. Oh, this is just confirmation that he'll be out for today's game. He says the Knicks are listing RJ Barrett as doubtful for tonight's game versus the Bucks. Obi Toppin, however, will be active, and it sounds like he may rejoin the rotation this evening. And also another big plus for the Knicks is tonight Milwaukee has ruled out Chris Middleton. So again, we'll be able to get at the Bucks without Chris Middleton. It'll definitely help our chances in terms of winning this game. And it's good to see that Obi Toppin, they were kind of flirting with him potentially getting some minutes in that Raptors game. He ended up not seeing it. but he did get optioned to the Westchester Knicks. I want to say it was Saturday to practice and get some 5-and-5 scrimmages in, just to make sure that the knee was healed and that he was able to play and finish pain free. So the fact that he'll be available and active tonight, I think, is definitely a major plus for this team, especially when you start to look at some of the minutes some of the guys are playing. I don't want to say it as a critique per se, but if possible, you want to try and curtail some of their minutes. So hopefully Obi Toppin can get a little bit more minutes than Jericho Sims. I want to see if is Obi going to supplant Jericho Sims in that 9-man rotation, or will Tips find times where he can use Jericho Sims situationally? Because we've seen it before, even when they went to the 9-man rotation. That at times, if he felt Jericho Sims was a better option than iHeart, I don't think he'd be scared to go and put Jericho Sims in, especially with the way he's been playing in Obi Toppin's absence. So once again, happy that Obi is back. Hopefully he'll get some playtime, get some minutes, and hopefully Tibbs will find a way to include Jericho Sims in the rotation. I know that he wants to stick with that 9-man rotation, but if you look at what Jericho Sims is able to do, and you look at how iHeart his performances can be pretty inconsistent. So I think Tibbs could definitely find some time and find an opportunity to get Sims in there. So let's see what Tibbs ends up doing. If you wanna err on the side of caution is probably say that Tibbs will stick with that strict 9-man rotation. But I can definitely see a moment where Jericho Sims could get some minutes. We're going up against a guy like Giannis tonight that can be a beast on both sides, offensively and defensively. And if you look at Mitchell Robinson, him having to be that defensive anchor for this team, you could see a situation where he may pick up an additional foul or two. Same thing with iHeart. So I think especially in a game like this, when you're going up against a marquee player in the league like a Giannis, you need players that can help you protect the paint and also give you some rim protection. And I think Jericho Sims can do that, and he can also give few fouls as well, seeing that Giannis isn't a great foul shooter. So hopefully Sims can stay in the rotation if Obi Toppin is now available and going to be able to play, but it remains to be seen. Once again, you never know with Thibodeau. What's going on in chat? Buzzer Beater says, "What happened to the Sunday podcast?" Well, right now I'm in Mexico, and over the past few days, the Wi-Fi has been pretty spotty. They finally figured it out and got things working. So moving forward, the Sunday streams will be going back on without any hiccups. Fingers crossed. But like I said at the beginning of the stream, out here celebrating my mother's birthday. She's turning 65 on the 11th. On the 10th, I apologize. Hear me? Like come over here and slap me. But she's turning 65 on the 10th, so we're out here celebrating her and on her born day. What else we got going on? Carl Jean Batiste says, "What's good, Keith? Any chance we'll see Killer Cam tonight? We will never see Cam step onto the court in a Knicks jersey. We'll see him in a Knicks warm up, but I highly doubt we'll ever see him in a jersey getting some legitimate minutes. I mean, you look at what happened to this team. You had Jalen Brunson that was out. You had R.J. Barrett that was out. Obi Toppin was out, and Tom Thibodeau refused to go to Cam in any type of situation, whether it be spot minutes, situational, or even as a legitimate part of the rotation. So based on that, I would have to say it's highly unlikely that we would see Cam play again for the New York Knicks. And all you can say is, you hope that he'll be able to find a better landing spot where he can, show his talent. Because me personally, I'm still a fan of Cam. Honestly, if you look at my grades, they're kind of done in a pattern similar to Cam, just to show a little solidarity with Cam. I know this is he's in a pretty crappy position right now. He wanted to leave the Atlanta Hawks to find a destination that had a better that was a better fit and had an actual role for him, a larger role for him. And he ended up coming to the New York Knicks, who honestly have no role for him at the moment. So hopefully we'll be able to move him and get something. If it's a conditional first round pick or a protected first round pick, it is what it is. But hopefully we'll be able to package Cam and maybe bring in another player that can help upgrade this roster and help build us towards the playoffs. Because if you looked at the way the Knicks have been playing recently, you can tell that we're definitely going to be in the playoffs. It's now going to be a question as to how far well, let me not go, but I'm crazy. It looks like we'll be, barring anything crazy, it looks like we'll be playoff bound. And at this point now, it's looking to see if we can get the right mix of players to help see how deep we can make a push. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be championship contenders. I'm not even saying we're going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. But we went to the first round with Julius Randle playing at an All-Star and an All-NBA level. And we've seen so far this season he's been playing at that level. And now we have Jalen Brunson beside him as opposed to an Alfred Payton. So to me, that would say we should have a pretty good chance of at winning our first round matchup and trying to at least get to the second round. And then at least you can look at this Tom Thibodeau tenure, you can look at this Leon Rose tenure, and you can say, all right, we made it to the first round of the first year, and we hit a stumbling block in that second year. But in the third year, we were able to figure it out, bring in the right player into Jalen Brunson. you know, I don't know what Julius Randle did in the offseason, but he figured it out, it seems like. And he's able to be back to that same type of player we saw 2 years ago. And now let's see if we can get to the second round. So, me personally, that's what I'm looking for with this team right now. Going on. King Josh says, salute. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate all the support. So let's jump into the next slide I got for you guys. This one is, we just talked about Julius Randle and his performance and how he's been at that all NBA level once again. And I'm not going to front. Heading into this season, I did not think we would see this type of Julius Randle, especially the efficiency and the shot making ability, especially from three. But you're seeing that he's able to knock it down. And I'm not even going front. I got something called BFS. It's called battered fan syndrome. So every time I see Julius Randle kind of chuck up a three, get a little bit nervous because I remember what we saw last season when he shot around 31%, if I'm not mistaken. And there was a few bricks there that you were kind of like, But this season, he puts up one, he puts up two, he knocks him down, and you're like, all right, if he can keep this pace, we'll be solid and we'll be there at the end of the game for a guy like Jalen Brunson to kind of take over and be that closer. So you can see what Jalen Brunson, you can see what both of these guys have been able to do um, over the last week. So you can see Randall's third and Brunson's second time in a month. They were both nominated. They didn't win it as of yet, but they were both. Well, they didn't win it. Period. I think they already announced the winners. It says they both nominated for NBA Eastern Conference Player of the Week. You see, this is Randall's third and Brunson's second time in a month. Per game, as we went 3-0, Randall, he's been averaging 28.3 points, 13.3 rebounds, 1.3 steals, and 1.3 blocks. And now you have Brunson, who's averaging 29.3 points in those three games, 5.3 rebounds, 6.7 assists, and he's shooting over 50% from the 3-point line. So we do right now, without RJ Barrett, we do have a dynamic duo that's really doing their best to help push this team um, into being a above 500 team. It was a little bit shaky there to start the season, and then we hit that nice run. What was it? 8 wins in a row, and then we had that slight, fall from grace, you want to call it that, where we had 5 games where we really struggled. But now, once again, the Knicks are in another win streak. We're undefeated in 2023, and hopefully, this is something that we can continue moving forward. And I think we can look at these guys and say this is a level of play that they might be able to keep up. 29.3 is a little bit steep. You might expect those points to come down. If Randall, you can expect him to average out around 22, 23, I would assume, by the end of the season. And we're going to see how this team is going to adjust when we have to bring back RJ Barrett and put him back into the rotation, how the players' roles may potentially change and things like that. But for the most part, I think the efficiency is something that these guys can continue to keep up. And I think it's that efficiency that has really helped propel us. Also, the increase in defense that we're seeing from guys being introduced into the lineup, like a Quentin Grimes, like Deuce McBride, and Emmanuel Quickly. He's been one of the best defenders on the perimeter all season, and that's definitely something you got to give him a shout out and some kudos for. Got going on in chat. J Cruz 0324 says, what's up? What's good, J Cruz? Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate the support. Carl Jean Baptiste, is RJ's laceration on his shooting hand, do you think it will affect his shot and handles? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm trying to take my mind back to that moment in the game where you saw RJ holding his hand and it looked like it was his right hand, but I'm not 100% sure right now off the top of my head, but I believe it was his right hand, which would be his offhand. Lex the Destroyer, he chimes in. I think the laceration is on the offhand. Thank you for holding it down. Appreciate it, Lex. One of the best mods in the game, if not the best. Kenny Payne tuned in. Says SVTV, we here. Salute. Kenny Payne, I'm sure you got to be hyped with the way Randle has been playing recently. Definitely been balling. And hopefully he can continue that level of play. On here. Jump to the next slide. All right, so here's a little bit more of a breakdown of Julius Randle over his last 17 games. I'm going to give a shout out to NBA University for dropping his tweet. He's been averaging 28.6 points per game, 59.2 true shooting percentage, 12.1 rebounds per game. One thing we know is Julius Randle is always going to be, a 2010 machine. But as you can see, now he's starting to push the limits of his play. 30 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and 4.3 assists per game. 36.5% from the three on 9.4 attempts per game. And he still puts it up there, and I get a little bit nervous, but the shot's falling, and we're gonna rock with it. So hopefully he can continue to knock down the three, and that's a major part of his game because it's extremely difficult to guard Julius Randle when that 3-point shot is falling because now you have to step up and try to force him to put the ball on the floor. And when he does that, he's strong enough to bully past defenders, and also he's been getting fouled at a real high rate. Um, you know, uh, Shout out to Rich Holtzman. He's mentioned that he does a rip through going to his right that has drawn a lot of fouls. And, it's definitely a big part of his game. It's helped get him to the line, helped get him in a rhythm. And you add that to the fact that he's knocking down the three. He's making quicker decisions. He still has some lapses here and there, but nobody's perfect. And I think if he can continue to play this way, he'll once again be nominated to All NBA. He'll be All NBA, and I think this will bode well for us moving forward. I don't. I know we've talked about it here on the channel about potentially trading him. I think at this point it's kind of hard to make that move, especially with the team being above 500, with the team playing well, and with Julius Randle balling out, and it looks like he's building a real good chemistry with Jalen Brunson, who's also developing and becoming a leader on this squad. So for the Knicks to go ahead and trade him at this point, it's going to be hard, I think, for them to kind of explain that. There'll be people in the fan base that'll be gung ho for it, but when you look at other people around the league, it may be hard to kind of justify or explain why they're making this move unless they're getting a bona fide top five, top six player in the league. And at this point, I don't see any of those guys becoming available. Maybe Luca if the Mavs, find a way to not make it into the playoffs, but as of right now, I just don't see one of those guys being available. So with the way Julius Randle is playing, you can see us, play with him, having these hot first quarters and then keeping this team either ahead enough or close enough where you can have a guy like Jalen Brunson be that closer and kind of get you to that finish line. Just looking at more of his stats, he's plus 15.1 per possession, and you can see overall in the last 17 games, the Knicks have been 12-5, third in offensive rating and second in defensive rating. He's been physically dominating, scoring both directions, hitting volume threes, and matching up on D. Looking like all NBA Randle again. And I'm not going front. When he did that chase down block, I believe it was against the Spurs, if I'm not mistaken. I was hyped. I was like, yo, I haven't seen that Julius Randle in forever. So for him to be able to play like that, I think was definitely dope. And I just want to continue to see more of it and see if there's something he can do for the entirety of this season. So he's definitely been playing great. I just hope that that's something that he can continue to keep up and sustain. And if he's able to do that, we'll be good moving forward and in the playoffs because Jalen Brunson, the consummate professional, he's going to show up. And you hope RJ can continue to build off the performances he was given before this team, before he got hurt, and things like that. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Laptop's about to die. Plug it back in. Oh wait. All right, give me 1 second. Gotta charge it. Bear with me. All right, back like I never left. We got going on in chat. We surveyed 100 peoples. V High, I know you are. Can you see me? Good here. Make sure everything's good on. All right. We surveyed 100 people. Says salute Knicks Nation. Appreciate you tuning in, V. Appreciate that. All right. Connected. Everybody, let me know in chat if the stream is coming in smooth. I know the Wi-Fi situation here is a little bit funky. Right now, it's telling me stream isn't going through exactly smooth. If there are any issues, just let me know in chat and I'll follow up. Because I'm good now. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So let's get into the next slide. Boom. This one was really about Jason Tatum. But what I liked was the fact that you saw Julius Randle #3 when it comes to all NBA front court players and made threes. So Julius right there is behind only Jason Tatum and Lauri Markkanen with 108 3 points made. So definitely shout out to Julius Randle for being able to knock down a three as efficiently as he's been able to do. And if he's able to shoot like this, he's going to be a problem in the league. And, like I said, I wanted to move off of him initially. He was shooting 31%. He was making bonehead plays. Occasionally the bonehead plays are still there. But with him playing like this, it's really hard to critique him and say that we should move off of him. Even though I'm not exactly sure if he's the guy that can help bring us to that promised land. But let's continue to ride it out and see how he's able to do this season. And then I can, reassess the situation when we see him in the playoffs again. I think Julius Randle has played well enough to kind of earn the ability to for us to see what he can do in the playoffs before we make any, brash decisions and decide to move off of him. So willing to wait and just to see what he's able to do. I still don't think Tibbs is the right coach. So even with the winning and things like that, I'm not 100% sure Tibbs is the guy to lead this team moving forward. But again, when you're winning with the way these guys have won recently, um, they've at least earned the ability to see how far they can go. Oh, good on my end. All right, cool. So J Cruz 0324 says, "What's with iHeart getting so many minutes? Is this to get his value up for a trade, or is Chief Tibber really sold on him?" I think Tibbs is probably really sold on him. Be honest, I'm not 100% sure why iHeart is getting as many minutes as he does. I think Jericho Sims is definitely an improvement or an increase or an upgrade, if you want to call it, over iHeart. When you look at what they're able to do, how they're able to defend, how Jericho Sims is better, I think is better closing out, also better guarding perimeters on the players. Guarding players on the perimeter when he's caught, in a switch. And I think he gives you similar, if not better, rim protection. The only thing is somewhat undersized when he goes up against larger centers, but he's a physical player. So I think he can bang down there with those guys. So me personally, I'm not sure why he's getting as many minutes as he's been getting, but I would definitely rate Sims over iHeart. And I think Sims should be eating into iHeart's minutes pretty heavily. What's going on? But this one more on Julius Randle. In the last month, Julius Randle ranks first in the NBA in total points, second in the NBA in rebounds, and sixth in the NBA in 3-pointers. So you can see in the month of December, my man went crazy. First, like I said, first total points, second rebounds, sixth in 3-pointers. That means he scored more points than guys like Embiid, scored more points than guys like Luca, out rebounded a lot of the better rebounders in the league, and has been knocking down the 3-point at a crazy clip. Remains to be seen if he can continue this level of play throughout the year. But I haven't seen anything as of right now to kind of make me doubt it. So if he can continue to play like he's been able to play, I think this team is going to be dangerous, and we can give any team, I think, a run for their money. Also, you see what happens to the teams like the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant, he recently went down with a sprained MCL, and that team might fall back in the standings without KD for an extended period of time. Excuse me, for an extended period of time. So maybe we can see the Knicks, try to fight their way and try to get a better seeding. And I would say you'd want the team to try and get home field, a home court advantage in the playoffs. But the way we play, you might be better off getting, being a road team. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely happy with the way the team has been playing so far. Like, you know, still they do some boneheaded stuff in the clutch. That's something that definitely I have to address. You look at the Spurs game, you look at the Raptors game, those games I think got way too close in the final minute or 2 minutes or so, and I think that those are games that the Knicks should have won with a lot more wiggle room. So late game situations, decision making, and things like that is something that has to be addressed. It's one of the reasons why I continue to say I don't think Tibbs is the guy that can lead us. But if you look at the way Julius Randle has played, he's been solid, and we have a closer in Brunson, so you can kind of see an avenue in which you can win some games with Randall, especially in the playoffs. But with Tibbs, man, these some of the late game mistakes are gonna come back to haunt you in the playoffs. So me, jury's still out when it comes to Tom Thibodeau. What else is going on the slides? Julius Randle again, first quarter he's been killing, and against Toronto he had another great performance. 19 points, 5 rebounds, 71% from the 3-point line, and we ended up ending that first quarter up 30-26. I was watching the game once again. The Wi-Fi was a little bit spotty, so I had to deal with a lot of buffering, but I was tuned in, definitely tuned in. Now, this is a Basketball Index 2023 defensive chart for the one Quentin Grimes. Now, Quentin Grimes, I've made a few jokes here on the channel saying that the team made Quentin Grimes untouchable, but you see why the front office had a lot of confidence in his ability to perform here in the NBA. You look at the on-ball D, listed there at 93%. Ball screen navigation, he's been able to get around 88% of the screens that have been set up against him. Off ball chaser, he's been able to close out on 78% of 3-point attempts. Matchup difficulty, 100%. I'm assuming that means he's been going up against the opposing team's most difficult perimeter player to guard, and he's been matching up, well. You did get cooked by Luka for a 60-20 triple-double, but for the most part, you weren't looking at it and saying he was absolutely terrible on defense. He's been hard working on defense, fights over and through screens. He's making a lot of steals. Not want to say a lot of steals. He's had a lot of moments where he's able to get into passing lanes and cause dysfunction for opposing teams, and it's led to points going in the other direction. So definitely, big fan of what Quentin Grimes can do. Also, you can see the matchup versatility, how the percentage of plays or possessions in which he's guarding certain players at each position. So for point guards, he's been guarding point guards in 26% of opposing teams' possession. He's been playing. I mean, he's been guarding shooting guards in 43% of opposing teams' possessions. Small forwards, 14%. Now look at this. Power forwards, 12%. So he's guarding power forwards as much as he's guarding small forwards for the most part. And then centers, he's been matched up on centers occasionally. I would assume that's mostly in screens and things like that. But he's been guarding those guys at 5%. So definitely been a big fan of what Quentin Grimes has been able to do for this team. Been able to defend at a high level, and he's been also been able to knock down the three. I know earlier on in the season it took him a little bit of time to actually start hitting the jump shot. For the most part, now he's been pretty deadly, I think, from the 3-point line. And he's also shown the ability to create when opposing teams attack the closeout. He's been able to get into the paint and either finish himself or be a willing passer and find the big man or whoever else is cutting or under the rim. And I think that's going to be very key in Quentin Grimes and his growth here on the Knicks, being able to put the ball down on the floor and find open teammates. In our last Sunday stream, I was able to mention or make a comparison between Quentin Grimes and Reggie Bullock and this resurgence we're starting to see from Julius Randle. Julius Randle played his best when he had Reggie Bullock out there. They had a lot of chemistry and there was a lot of trust between those two. I see a lot of the same things between Julius Randle and Quentin Grimes this season. There's moments where Julius Randle actually looks for Quentin Grimes in order to get him a good shot or get him a good look or to get the set in motion. So I look at those two together and see that Julius Randle thrives off of Quentin Grimes, and vice versa. Grimes thrives off of the attention that Julius Randle gets out there on the court. And Quentin Grimes, we've mentioned it initially. He was a point guard, so he has above average, passing ability. And seeing that he was a point guard, the reason he had to get moved off of the one is because of his lack of ability to create off the dribble, which he's also been working on. We saw that in summer league. We don't see it as much in the NBA, but he's operating around other high usage players. We obviously won't see it. Going on chat. J. Cruz has got to admit, Juju banging in the top 5 power forwards. Juju and J. Brun are are bailing out Tibbs from the hot seat. Facts. They've definitely been helping Tibbs keep his job because looking pretty bleak there. They went on that 8-game win streak and then they went on a 5-game losing streak, and everybody was like, was it a fluke? But here we go once again. We're on another win streak to start the season. Definitely been good. Good to see. J. Cruz 324 says Q dot is coming. NBA is being put on notice. We outside Knicks Nation. Facts. Also, we got 32 in chat. Only 18 likes. Do me a solid. Make sure you smash that like button. Greatly appreciate it. What's going on? Here we go. We mentioned Quentin Grimes. There's a little bit more information on what he's done over the last 20 games. Been averaging 13.2 points per game. Also, shout out to Big Nick Energy. I want to give him some credit for this. He's been shooting. He's been scoring 13.2 points per game. His plus minus has been plus 117. He's been averaging 3.7 rebounds per game, 2.2 assists per game, 1 steal per game, while shooting over 40% from 3 on 6.4 attempts per game. And in those last 20 games, the Knicks are 13-7. Also, you can see quick feet, balance, and strength at the point of attack on defense, best perimeter defender, and best catch and shoot player on the Knicks. Now, I would say you could actually argue, you say arguably the best perimeter defender on the team, because I think Emmanuel quickly has something to say about that. He's been rated one of, if not the best, in terms of defensive rating. And I think his defense, whether he's a starter or coming off the bench, has been key for the Knicks and us trying to turn things around after a pretty shaky start. But Quentin Grimes definitely has been solid in the minutes he's been playing, and I'm happy with the way he's been performing. Can I say for certain he'll be with this team long term? Not 100% sure, but if he is someone that's going to be moved in a deal, I think his value is much higher than what we saw or what other teams viewed him, or the way other teams viewed him in the offseason when we were trying to complete the Donovan Mitchell trade. So maybe if you do have to include a guy like Quentin Grimes in a deal, maybe you save yourself from including another young guy or another draft pick. That way you have more assets to continue to retool his team and build it up. But might be getting ahead of myself there. I definitely like the way Quentin Grimes has been playing so far. See what else we got? All right, there we go. So now let's get into the actual matchup. I wasn't able to get any slides together for the matchup, but we're going up against the Milwaukee Bucks, a guy like Giannis who can definitely take over a game. And you look at a guy like Mitchell Robinson who wants to step up and answer that challenge. And this is going to be a big game. I think the last game we played him, Mitchell Robinson definitely was out there and made life difficult for Giannis, I believe. And I think if we look at the way these two teams are matching up, look at what the Bucks did in their most recent game. I believe it was against Charlotte, giving up 50 points per game in in what was it, the first quarter. And I think you look at the Knicks, if we can keep up our defensive intensity. I think the last game we played against them, it was all about defense. The offense was kind of hard to come by. And you look at what Julius Randle can do. If he can cook, I think the Bucks are going to be in big trouble. I think offensively, they have the guys in Giannis and Drew, but they definitely miss Chris Middleton when he's not out there on the court. So if a guy like Julius Randle can get off and continue to play the way he's been playing so far, I think this is definitely a game where I feel much more confident us heading into it than I did the last time we matched up against the Bucks. And also, you look at Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson has been solid for this team. He's going up against, if I'm not mistaken, the starter for the Bucks in this game is going to be Carter. He's a tough defender. Not necessarily the biggest guy, so I think Brunson He'll be able to get his shot off. No RJ, unfortunately. But let's see what Obi Toppin does if he's able to get some minutes. Let's see what Tibbs decides to do with him. I know Obi doesn't get a lot of minutes overall, but and especially him coming off of injury and not expecting a heavy workload. But it would be nice to see where Obi is at in his process of getting reconditioned and being out there on the court. So I'm excited to see what Obi can do. That thumbs up. Appreciate the support. Oh, we surveyed has the starting lineup. Greatly appreciate it. Brunson, Quick, Grimes, Randle, Mitch, and two defenders in the paint against Giannis. Yeah, how are we going to match up and how are we going to defend Giannis? I know when we went up against the Raptors initially, when what's his name, Siakam went off on us for 50. We really didn't send too many doubles, and we really dropped off the defenders in the pick and roll when we played him in drop coverage. But against the second time, we definitely played better defense, and you saw Tibbs kind of change up his strategy. So I'm interested in seeing what Tibbs decides to do going up against Giannis this time, and seeing if there will be any tweaks in the way he decides to defend against. So for the Bucks, we've got Holiday, Grayson Allen, guy, Pat Connaughton, Giannis, and Brooke Lopez. How we decide to guard Brooke Lopez would be interesting as well. You know, Brooke Lopez can knock down the three. The Knicks at times have had difficulties defending guys at the 3 point line, especially big men. We've done a much better job in terms of closing out with the addition of Deuce McBride into the second unit and with Quick and Quentin Grimes out there on the perimeter. But at times, you still see us be able to or be susceptible to big men that can stretch the paint, I mean, that can stretch the floor and knock down the three. So what we decide to do with Brook Lopez will be real important. He'll be one of those guys that you want to not let them have a good game. You look at Giannis Antetokounmpo; he's one of the best players in the league. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna get his. For the most part, you just want to make life as difficult for him as you can, so that way he'll try to tire out throughout the game. But it's stopping those other guys out there on the court from being able to go off as well to help Giannis, which is really gonna help us get to the finish line and get the W. So I'm interested in seeing what we end up doing, how we're going to defend against the Bucks, and compare it to how we defended against them initially. You know, Thibodeau, he's supposed to be a defensive coach. Let's see if he can scheme up something that can make life difficult for these guys. Also, with Emmanuel quickly. I want to see if he can continue his strong play. He's starting to knock down his shot a little bit more. It looks like he's a little bit more comfortable now in the role, especially when he's been elevated to this starting lineup. Start the season, he was a little bit shaky. I wasn't sure if it was the trade rumors that was starting to get to him, but now it seems like he's kind of moved past all of the noise, and he's been playing some of the best basketball I've seen from him since he's been a New York Knick. So extremely happy that these guys are starting to click right around this time. We have a softest part of the schedule. So hopefully we can continue to build and continue to get better and build that chemistry. That way, towards the end of January, when we're going up against a much more, much tougher competition, you can see going up against much tougher competition. You can see this team be able to weather that storm a little bit better. So hopefully we can move forward with this game, get that victory, and make me celebrate twice today. One for the victory and another for my mom's birth. Let's see. We surveyed his last game against the Knicks. RJ 26 points, 8 for 15 from field. Going to need another person to pick up the scoring tonight if we want to win. Yeah, so it's gonna fall on guys like Emmanuel quickly. It's gonna fall on guys like Quentin Grimes to really up their level of play and to knock down their open shots. Defense isn't that big of a priority, it seems like, in the NBA. But the Bucks are one of those teams that actually do play solid defense. So this might be a game where you don't get as many opportunities as you would against another team that's a little bit porous that has a little bit more porous defense. But when you get those opportunities, you have to capitalize. And I showed you what Quentin Grimes has been able to do. He's been able to knock down 40% of his three balls out over the last 20 games. You see that Julius Randle, he's been able to knock down the three effectively. Randle, Quick, still want to see him be able to knock down the three a little bit better. I don't remember what he was for exactly in the last game. I don't think he shot well from three against the Raptors, but he was able to percolate and create off the dribble a little bit. was definitely nice and needed, especially in that last quarter. I think he was like 2 of 4, and then he had a bunch of free throws. So if he can find a way to percolate and get his shot to start falling more consistently, I think he'll definitely be an extremely dangerous player in this league coming off the bench, and it makes the Knicks that much more dangerous. So fingers crossed he'll be able to figure it out. I'm not sure if this will be the game where he's has the best matchup in terms of him being able to cook off the bench, but I mean not off the bench starting, but him being able to cook and try to take advantage of well, you got Grayson Allen on him, I would assume. Probably put Drew on Brunson, or probably put Grayson Allen on Emmanuel quickly. I just hope Grayson Allen doesn't do anything funky, man. This team is playing well. We don't need any of that nonsense from Grayson Allen to kind of throw us a loop. Big Cruz says, and hit them free throws. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Julius Randle hit those clutch free throws. I forget who we were playing against, but he hit like 4 or 5 free throws to end the game, still a game. And since then, our free throw shooting has been brutal. So hopefully we can figure it out and start knocking down our free throws more effectively, especially in crunch in clutch situations in crunch time. But that's definitely something that we got to work on. I believe Jalen Brunson even said it. I forgot at the end of what game. It might have been the end of the Spurs game. Kind of mentioned it in the post game. Hey, we need to start hitting our free throws. It's something that they need to do. You know, J. Cruz says, don't leave any points facts, especially when you're going up against a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo that can get you some points in bunches. And not only that, can also take points off the board on the other side with his defense, the length, and things like that. So hopefully, we don't have that issue in this game. Big Cruz 0324 says Jalen's on a mission too. Facts. Jalen is definitely on a mission. And I like the leadership that he's been able to show, the way he's been able to answer some of the questions in the post game. And also, they asked him about Emmanuel quickly and how he compared to Jalen Brunson when he was coming into the league and was forced to learn two different positions out there on the court. And to hear Jalen Brunson kind of give Emmanuel quickly his flowers and say that he was even better than he was at this point, at a similar point in their career, is definitely good to hear as a fan. And I'm sure it was pretty good for Emmanuel quickly to hear as a teammate, especially when you're seeing what Jalen Brunson has become once he's been given the keys to his own team. Now, in hindsight, it could also drive Emmanuel quickly and his team to look to move elsewhere because, hey, if I was better than you in this point in your career, then you know, uh, theoretically, if I were to go to my own team and get the keys to my own Porsche or whatever you want to call it, then I would probably be playing better than you are playing right now. So that's a double-edged sword, if you want to call it that. But let's see how these guys are able to perform tonight against the Bucks, which is going to be a pretty tough match. So wrap it up. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. This is a little impromptu pregame stream. I was out in Mexico. I had brought the equipment to do the Sunday stream, but the way the Wi-Fi was set up on Sunday really didn't leave me much room to do a stream. Since I had the equipment, I said, you know what, we got a game going on. Might as well do a pregame, chop it up with you guys, see what's going on, see what the get the pulse of the fan base and things like that. So thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate the support. I'm going to confirm with Foxy. I'm pretty sure we'll be streaming again this Sunday coming up. Actually, I think we have a game, so that might end up being like a pregame version of the Sunday stream. If I'm not mistaken, I think we play at 6. Let me pull up the 6 schedule. 1 second. Yeah, so play again. Oh no, are we off next Sunday? If we're off next Sunday, that'd be lit. Because then we won't have to change anything with the stream. Nope. Yeah, yeah. We don't play again on a Sunday until the 15th of January. So everything should be set for us to stream again at 6 on Sunday. Me and Foxy with the next Sunday stream. So thank you. We really appreciate it. As Fox, what up on the replay gang? Salute, salute. Also, want to thank you guys once again for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, smash that like button. Also, make sure you have notifications set to all, and make sure you are following the channel on Twitter and on IG. I have been posting a little bit more on there recently. So definitely tune into that. So I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I'm Keith, host of Sports Vibes TV, and